Before starting the story, let us know where you're watching from and what time you're watching. Pump #13 only works for the dead. Chapter 1. The Last Stop. Jake Mercer had been on the road for hours, the empty stretch of highway ahead melting into the horizon like a mirage. His eyes were heavy, his fingers gripping the wheel tighter than they needed to. The only company he had was the occasional static from the radio and the rhythmic hum of his tires against the asphalt. He was driving through the heart of nowhere, and his gas tank was running low. Then, as if answering his silent plea, a neon sign flickered in the distance. Carter's Gas and Service. It stood alone on the side of the road, surrounded by endless darkness. The bright open 24/7 sign buzzed softly, a beacon of relief in the middle of the void. Jake pulled in, his car sputtering as if in protest. The station had an eerie stillness to it. No other cars, no movement behind the counter inside. Just a single old man sitting on a rocking chair, watching him from the porch of the convenience store. As Jake stepped out, he noticed the pumps lined up in front of him. They were numbered in order 10, 11, 12, and 14. His brow furrowed. Where was 13? Help you with something? The old man's voice was gravelly, almost a whisper against the night wind. Yeah, just need some gas, Jake said, glancing at the pumps again. You can use any of them, except 13, the man added quickly, as if he knew Jake's next question. Jake chuckled, though something about the way the old man said it made his skin prickle. I don't even see a 13. You wouldn't. The response made no sense, and Jake chose to ignore it. He swiped his card at pump 12, but the screen blinked transaction error. Pump 14? Out of order. God damn it, he muttered. You ain't gonna have much luck with those, the old man said, rocking slowly in his chair. Not tonight, Jake sighed. So, what am I supposed to do? The man pointed a gnarled finger to the side of the station. Pump 13. Jake turned his head. Where there had been nothing before, a pump now stood beneath the dim glow of a flickering light. It looked older than the others, rusted and forgotten. A deep chill settled in Jake's stomach. But you said, I said it only works for the dead. Chapter 2. The Price of Fuel. Jake hesitated, but desperation won. He had no choice. He grabbed the nozzle and pressed it into his tank. The gas flowed smoothly, defying logic. When he checked the price, the screen was blank. No numbers, no cost, just an empty screen staring back at him. As he placed the nozzle back, he heard a whisper. You don't belong here. Jake spun around. The old man was still on the porch, watching him. But the voice hadn't been his. It had come from behind him. His blood ran cold. He got in his car and turned the key. The engine roared to life, but so did something else. The air around him grew dense, pressing against his chest. His breath turned to mist as an unnatural chill filled the car. Then, in the rearview mirror, he saw them. Figures, pale and gaunt, their hollow eyes locked onto him. They stood around pump 13, their outlines flickering like bad reception on an old TV. They weren't just staring. They were waiting. Jake's heart slammed against his ribs as he threw the car into drive and peeled out of the station. He didn't stop. Not until the lights of a small town came into view. But even then, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming for him. Chapter 3. The Toll. Over the next few days, Jake's reality began to shift. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. Reflections in mirrors lingered too long. At night, whispers clawed at his ears, repeating the same phrase. You don't belong here. His paranoia deepened when he checked his bank statement. There was no record of his gas purchase, but in its place was a transaction marked debt pending. He tried to ignore it until the nightmares began. They always ended the same way, standing at pump 13, his hands covered in something dark and sticky, and the whisper in his ear, the dead always collect, Jake returned to Carter's gas and service that night, demanding answers. The old man wasn't on the porch this time, but the door to the station was unlocked. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the scent of oil and something rotten. "You came back," the old man's voice rasped from the shadows. "What the hell is happening to me?" Jake demanded. The old man sighed. "You took from the dead. Now they take from you." Jake's stomach turned. "Take what?" The old man's gaze darkened. "Your place." A chill gripped Jake as he turned towards the door. The bell above it jingled, but no one had entered. Yet, in the dim light, he saw himself, his own face, standing by pump 13. Only it wasn't him. The doppelganger smiled. Dead collected, the last thing Jake felt was the pull of something cold and unforgiving, dragging him into the dark. Epilogue. A new attendant. A car pulled into Carter's gas and service. The driver was a tired man, looking for a quick fill-up. An old man sat on the porch, watching. As the driver stepped out, he glanced at the pumps. 10, 11, 12, and 14. "Hey, is there a pump 13? He asked. The old man, Jake Mercer, smiled, his eyes hollow as he pointed to the side of the station. "You wouldn't see it, but it's there."